All right, so we're on 3.5. We mentioned this yesterday a little bit, right? I gave you a little bit of synopsis on equations of a line. What do you remember from yesterday? We didn't officially teach it yesterday, but for some reason we got into it a little bit. Do you remember what it is? Okay, y equals mx plus b. Okay, but we're gonna get to that maybe even today. But before that, we have another equation. All right, sometimes they'll give you an equation that looks like this. So I'm gonna write it like that: ax plus by equals c. I don't know if you remember that. Zion, what'd you say? Very good. Okay, that's called standard form. So you guys did learn this in algebra, right? Yeah. You didn't learn it? Oh. All right. So let's talk about this for a second. Let me see. Let me grab this. All right. All right, here's a graph, a Cartesian coordinate. Oops, I didn't want to do that. All red. I didn't want to do that. Let's do this. What am I doing? All right. Wow, that does look crazy, but you can't see anything. Right. So let's make it white. Let's put it like this. There we go. Finally. Now I can go to red. All right. Now we're situated. What we're going to do is we're going to graph this thing right here. 2x minus 3y. You writing this down? 2x minus 3y equals, let me see what I got, -6. And they're going to ask you to graph this thing because this represents a straight line. If you look at this, it's actually in this form right here, isn't it? Yeah. So right over here, what is the a in this situation right here? Okay. It's 2. What's the b? It's -3. Very good, okay, because this is plus, but that's a -3, so the b is -3. And what is the c? It's -6, okay? But just knowing the a, b, and c, I can't just go on here and say, oh, I'm going to put a is 2, so boom, I put a 2. You know, the b is -3, so I put a -3. You really can't do that right now with this situation, okay? But what you can do is this. You can find, what we're going to do is we're going to find two things. Something called the X-Intercept, and then we're going to find the Y-intercept. Okay, I'll change the color in a second. Oh, it's off the screen? Sorry about that. So let's scooch it over. Is that better? There you go. Okay. Yeah, that projector doesn't show my whole screen, so I got to be careful about that. All right, so what we're going to do is find the X-intercept and the Y-intercept. Now watch very carefully. Let's do this in different colors so it sets it apart a little bit. In order to find the X-intercept, watch what we do. We set y equal to 0. I'll show you how we do that in a second. All right. So give me a wild guess. In order to find the y-intercept, we're going to do what? We're going to set x equal to 0. Now, what in the world does that mean? The x-intercept, y-intercept. It means where our line crosses, in this case, the x-axis, and where it crosses the y-axis. So I'm just going to draw some random line here. Okay. This line has nothing to do with this stuff right here. But everybody watch. Everybody's up here? Up here. Up here? Thank you. So what does it mean? I just stuck a random line in here, all right? What is the x-axis? Well, the x-axis is where that line crosses. I'm sorry. What is the x-intercept? It's where that line crosses the x-axis. So it crosses the x-axis right here. Everybody see that? Where is the y-axis or the y-intercept? It's where it crosses the what? The y-axis. So the reason that we set, in order to find the x-intercept, that point right there is, I don't know, it's -1, 2, 3 and a little bit. Let's say what? 0.3, -3.3. And then what's the y? on that? So it'd be 0, wouldn't it? Okay? You understand why we set the y equal to 0? If we set the y equal to 0, that means that's going to show us where it crosses the x-axis. Okay? Look at this point right here. What is this point? Well, it's 0, what? 1, 2, and maybe like 0.1 or something, okay? So what is the 0? X is the 0. How do we find the y-intercept? We set x equal to 0. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's use this equation right here, and let's find the x and y-intercept. If we find those 2 points, how many points do you need to draw a straight line? Just need 2 points, right? That's the minimum number of points, right, to make a line, a unique line, all right? So if I can find the x-intercept and I can find the y-intercept, then I should be able to graph this line right here, all right? So that's one way of graphing a line. So let's do it. Let's find where it crosses the x-axis. So what do? I set y equal to 0. Let's do this over here on this side. So here's my equation, 2x minus 3 times what? 0, because I set y equal to 0. And that equals what? -6. Now, let's do some math and solve for x. Well, -3 times 0 is 0. So it's 2x equals -6. Divide by 2. So what is x? X equals -3. And we said that y was equal to what? 0. So what's my point? It's -3, 0. So let's plot that. 1, 2, 3, 0. So that is my x-intercept. Now, I do the same thing to find the y-intercept, but this time I'm setting what? I'm setting x equal to 0 to find the y-intercept. So again, we're going to take that same equation. We're going to go 2. We're not going to put an x here. We're going to put a what? 0 in for that. Minus 3y equals -6. Let's do the math and solve for y. That's 0. I'm going to divide by -3. Divide by -3. So what's y equal to? +2. What did I say the x was? Right? X is 0. Y is -2. So what do? We go 0 on the x and up 2 right there. And now I got 2 points. Guess what I can do? I can make a line. Okay? So I've got that and I've got that. It is a line, so technically we should put arrows on the end, and that's what it is. What did the question ask you to do? It asked you to graph it, okay? So one way that we could graph it, if they give it to you in standard form, is to find the x-intercept, find the y-intercept, connect them, and then you've got a line. Okay, that line right there is this right there. Question? We've already done stuff, okay? We already did stuff with the -6, right? All right, we just found the x-intercept, we found the y-intercept. So we messed with everything here, right? So again, just looking at this, remember what I said? Just looking at the 2, the -3, and the -6, you really can't graph it just by looking at those 3 numbers, the A, B, and C. So you got to do something else to it. All right, you got to find the x-intercept and you got to find the y-intercept. There's another way to graph this, but that's the next example, and we're pretty much out of time. Yes, it will.
There's actually a way to beat the system with that. So all you have to do is just think about what numbers are next to the x and y. So basically, the number that's with the x is going to be your y-intercept, the number with the y is going to be your x-intercept. Think about that.
No, it's not, because okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's not always going to work like that. It's not always going to work like it. It's not always going to work like that. So you can't just say that it's going to work every single time just because it works on this one. Okay, if you did it to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different problems, then you could start saying, you know what, maybe it works that way. All right.